Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. I needed to point just to the DLF logo for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Russ Fisher at Dynasty House, Addison Hayes, Adam Hayes _ are here ready for the draft. So ready for the draft, ready for the draft. I have a rookie draft that started today. I'm very excited for it.
Really?
I thought I won the league last year. So I really thought I had no picks. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm excited for everyone else, I guess. And then I go and I look, I'm like, I have the 104 and 110. When?
Wow.
How? And I didn't look back because I don't want to know what I did. Like, I'm fine just letting that slide. And my real hope, my real hope is that I don't know if anyone out there, first of all, it is so much fun to do a rookie draft before the NFL draft. I don't recommend it a lot, but doing it once is just a whole lot of fun. Like, I'm really hoping people get scared and play safe, and it goes Bijan, Stroud, Young, and I will take that risk on Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Because Malik Willis went very early last year, and then at the end of the first, the rest of the quarterbacks rounded out. So first round picks were spent on Matt Corral, Sam Howell, and Ritter.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to talk about Ritter in a little bit, but still, you didn't have to. So, like, that's why this is like so much fun. And this is a great year for it, though, because I feel like there's a lot that's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little boring because it's really fun to have those times where, like, I drafted this guy in the first and he didn't get drafted. And then I drafted James Cook in the fourth.
Wow.
And I still just didn't use him the entire season. It didn't really matter, but I can still say I did it.
So there you go. So if you want to own your league mates because you do more research than them, have your rookie draft before the NFL draft.
And then don't invite Zach Reed and Chris Allen into your league because they're smarter than you are.
Yep.
Oops.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, but we're here because we're almost at the NFL draft, and we were going to talk about second-year wide receivers, and then Addison's like, it's almost the draft. We should probably talk about that. And I'm like, I guess, but I like second-year wide receivers. So he was nice, threw me a bone, and he put one second-year wide receiver in here.
I did. Yep.
He did.
Yep.
So
just wanted to give you guys some more time to make moves before, like, if we drop this next Thursday, you guys would have like 10 hours to, be able to do something with it.
It's next week. It's next week.
We're 1 week away. Yeah. So we wanted to give you guys a whole week to be able to do anything based on our advice, if you agree or disagree or whatnot. And then we'll talk about the second-year wide receivers next week on draft day, because they won't be impacted really. So.
But let's go. All right. Like I said, we're going to talk about Desmond Ritter soon. So let's talk about Desmond Ritter. I consider Desmond Ritter a buy. And first of all, he's not getting replaced. That's really what makes him a buy in the first place. He's not going to get replaced. He's going to start this year. And a starting quarterback is worth something in Superflex leagues. But also, more importantly, everything I've seen, everything I've read, I probably read like 2 things in the past year. So one of them was about the Falcons, though. It seems like they're just pushing to go. Like, they don't want to rebuild. They just want to keep playing because, like, they won a bunch of games. They're like, okay, maybe we'll win a couple more. Like,
their division sucks too. They could win that division winning 7 or 8 games, and that's it.
Yeah, like, they traded for 1 or 2 low-priced defensive players that were good. Like, so there's, like, I think they're making a push to just still stay good. Like, I don't think they're going full rebuild mode. And when you're in, like Addison said, a not good division, you have at least 2, 4, 6 games where you're playing bad teams. So, stats should be okay. So also, there's always a chance they bring in another pass catcher, which would only help. But I'm all here for London and Pitts also. So
Bijan 108 or 109, whatever they are. Yeah,
I have to hold on. I need to cool down after hearing that loud. Okay, so the first trade is a 12-team Superflex league. Well, they're both 12-team Superflex leagues, but the first trade is Desmond Ritter for James Cook. So what you're telling me is I could get Desmond Ritter for a 4th-round draft pick.
Yes, exactly.
So, man, like, I don't see how this isn't Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter is starting this year. James Cook, okay, he started to look okay at the end of the year. Yeah. Like, I don't see how this isn't a quarterback.
There's also like you want to talk about the possibility of Desmond Ritter getting replaced. What's the possibility that James Cook has added competition?
Like they constantly were bringing in running backs, even
Right.
during the season. And
Well,
yeah, James Cook did start to look good, but good is never enough for a running back to keep their job. Plus, the
Singletary's
number one
gone.
running back on the Bills wears number 17.
Bam. Yeah. So they could bring in another pounder, and James Cook's volume and therefore production and value, I don't say craters, but it goes down. Like it just kind of, he's still in that role of, man, I wish that he could just have more opportunity. He'd be so good. But if the Bills decide to go that route, that's probably not a player that you really want. And I don't really know if the ceiling of James Cook, outside of him getting like the full workload, like obviously if he got like 230 carries and another like 50 receptions, that would be fantastic. But I don't know if that's really in the range of outcomes in Buffalo, to where I'm totally fine taking the shot, moving a James Cook away and going and getting a Desmond Ritter. That shot on a guy who could be, I mean, maybe he's your QB4 and he has the potential to be a back end QB2, like being a Jimmy Garoppolo, being a Kenny Pickett, like that. You could be getting that with James Cook.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I didn't even say Desmond Ritter 79, James Cook 83. So first of all, value wise, whatever. But we're 4 games into the season. James Cook is getting a combined 18 touches a game. Not bad.
That's pretty good.
Desmond Ritter putting up maybe 16 points a game. That's bottom QB. That's like QB 24-ish. Who's worth more?
Ritter.
Yeah. I don't think James Cook averaging 18 touches a game is very realistic.
No, I don't either.
Ritter averaging 16 points per game is insanely realistic because that's not a lot. So to me, like the upside of, not even upside, the average outcome, it's Ritter. All right, let's move on to the next one where it's Desmond Ritter for Sam Darnold in a 24-second. Sam Darnold's on San Francisco.
He could start. They're fielding offers for Trey Lance right now, Russ. It's been all over Twitter this morning.
Like, to me, this is so easily Ritter. Like, I don't, like, this is pretty much, like you said, Desmond Ritter was someone's QB 3 or 4, and someone's like, give me a second for him, and just someone to fill a QB slot since I'm getting rid of one.
Right.
And Sam Darnold was the lowest value QB on the other person's team.
Right.
Again, the values, Ritter 79, a 24-second is 75. So again, it's close, but maybe I need to start sending out seconds for Ritter just to see what happens.
This isn't a long-term play. Like, I don't think we're saying that Desmond Ritter is going to come in. He's like what Dak Prescott was whenever he took over.
No.
This is just like you probably get a solid season. Maybe you get next season.
QB2.
At this price, it's kind of worth it. What if he does go off, and then you're able to sell? I don't think that you're not able to sell for a second in season, assuming that he doesn't get replaced. Like, if you want to buy for a second right now, see what happens. I think if he's just mediocre, you can still sell for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a starting quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if he comes out and does put up 18, 19 points per game, Ritter in a second for a first is probably very on the table.
There you go. You just got a first-round pick for Desmond Ritter.
Next, we are moving on to that second-year quarterback, because you got me talking about quarterback. Second-year wide receiver in Jahan Dotson. Now, okay, first of all, let's pay respects. Penn State pass catcher, yes. Wasn't my favorite Penn State pass catcher in recent history, but he's here. He's okay. He caught touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
That's nice.
Touchdowns are nice. I mean, I like them. I enjoy them.
So the first trade we have is in a 12-team one quarterback league where it's Jahan Dotson and Mac Jones for the 109. Jahan Dotson, 273. Mac Jones, one QB, 25 for a total of, we'll just say 300. And the 109 is 304, 305. So this is pretty on par. So talking one QB 109, like I wish I had ADP pulled up because we're talking Bijan, JSN, Addison, Gibbs, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Zach Charbonnet. And then you still got 2 more people to fit in there.
Yeah, so 109 in April, one quarterback. That's where the quarterbacks start getting taken off the board. Richardson and Stroud were in there. Josh Downs went at 1.08. Devon Achane went at 111. After Richardson and Stroud, you got Jalen Hyatt, you got Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid if you want for a tight end.
Tight ends.
Tyjae Spears, Tank Bigsby. You know, this is all who you're going to be looking at in that range.
Like I said in the lead into Jahan Dotson, not my favorite Penn State pass catcher. I would easily take him over the 109 in a one quarterback league.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him in the league. We've seen him catch touchdowns in the league. We've seen him, more importantly, not be bad.
That helps. Yeah.
We know that. We don't know what that 109 is going to be, where that 109 is going to be in the NFL. 109 is going to be after 108 and before 110. You should probably cut that. But yeah, like I didn't really expect to take Jahan Dotson in these things, but no, I would take Jahan Dotson over the 109 pretty easily.
Yeah, this is why I wanted to throw Jahan Dotson in here. I know we were going to talk about second year rookie wide receivers next week, but I wanted to pull Dotson up because I think that he is a very worthy trade target right now before the NFL draft, especially because of the wide receiver class that we have this year. Like if you're someone who's counting on Quentin Johnston or Jalen Hyatt or even Zay Flowers and Josh Downs too, and I'll even honestly, like I'll throw Jordan Addison in there. I threw out a poll on Twitter of two prospect wide receivers with like their breakout age, their dominator rating, their draft capital, because we're projecting Jordan Addison to be a first round pick. It was all that stuff. It was basically a blind comparison as prospects of Jahan Dotson and Jordan Addison. And the poll was in favor of Jahan Dotson. So it just kind of, I think that, take it for what you will. You can have Jordan Addison over Jahan Dotson. That's fine. But I think that what that is telling you is this wide receiver class is bad because the at best wide receiver 5 or 6 in last year's class is being comped to and being blindly taken over the wide receiver 2 in this year's class.
Yeah.
So if you're counting on a rookie wide receiver in that kind of range, why don't you just turn that into Jahan Dotson, who, like you said, we've already seen produce as the wide receiver 2 behind Terry McLaurin. You know, he was scoring a lot of touchdowns. He had, I'm seeing 5 weeks here of top 20 fantasy production throughout the 12 games that he played. Another where he was the wide receiver 26 and 2 others where he was top 45. So he was flexible in those kind of weeks as well. He had multiple games where he had 7, 8, 9 targets in a game, scored all those touchdowns. He was doing that a lot on 60, 70% of the snaps. Like he wasn't even still like a full-time player in Washington's offense. So I think Jahan Dotson is a fantastic trade target right now that I think a lot of people are overlooking because of the recent wide receiver class and the rookie class just in general that we have this year. And I feel like we're just kind of forgetting that Jahan Dotson is there and he just kind of feels like he's just cast aside. So go trade a late first in one quarterback leagues or an early second in Superflex and go get Dotson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try that. Now that you mention it, in Trade Addicts 1, where I am trying to get away from my rebuild because I made too many trades that made me too productive to be able to have a good first next season anyway. Maybe, and I have the 201 and 202, which I traded for. I didn't earn either of those. Maybe I'll try and throw one of those for Dotson and see what happens. That's a good idea. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, the next trade we have is 12-team Superflex, where Jahan Dotson and the 211 were traded for the 201 and Tyler Algier. So this is exactly what I just said. Dotson 197, the 211 73 for a total of 270. The 201 is 153, and Tyler Algier 90 for a total of 243. Yeah, I'll take Dotson.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, dude. Like the trade finder is just littered with these kind of deals for Jahan Dotson or other deals where he's part of like a package where it seems like he's valued in this kind of range as just a wide receiver 4 in Dynasty. And I'm not saying that that's wrong to value him that way. I just think that we're overvaluing this 2023 class in comparison to Jahan Dotson. Like I would take Dotson over the 201 in a Superflex league, just as I would take Dotson over the 109 in one quarterback. And if that means that you've got to add Tyler Algier and you're getting a later second back to make that work, then I think that's what you got to do. Algier is another player that I think is very much at risk of losing his job. So he might end up being kind of a worthless asset in a week. Like it's just said with Desmond Ritter. Like if Bijan goes to the Falcons at 108, Algiers done.
Like this is really the same trade in between Superflex and one quarterback, and I'm still with you right there. Tyler Algier, I don't know if he's going to be replaced, but they need to bring in another body at running back, and this is the year to do it in the 4th or 5th because you're going to get someone just as good or better than Tyler Algier, who I think they took in like the second or third. Was it that late? Never mind. But like they're going to bring in someone good enough to be part of a committee, and Algier made his money just getting 18 to 30 rushes a game. And I don't think that's going to happen again. So now we move on to our sells, and my first sell makes me sad because I really loved watching Isiah Pacheco run the ball. It was not what I expected to see, and it was great. I loved it. Just pure monster. But the Chiefs they don't want one guy in the first place. Like they just don't want that. And I love me some Jerick McKinnon. I'm here for the 12th year breakout. I'm ready for it. But he's like 49. So they're going to be bringing in another running back. You see, ever since they brought in Edwards-Helaire, where they're cool spending real capital on a luxury pick. Like, there were better things they could have done with the 32nd pick that year, but they took a running back. Seemed like the right idea at the time. Didn't work out, not the point. But Pacheco will have a role on the team. First of all, because he's really good at kick returning. So he'll be on the roster, which means he'll be on the field as a running back. But I don't think he's even enough of the guy that he turned into at the end of the year where he was splitting with McKinnon. Like, I don't think he's a guy. He's a 1B on a team that doesn't really care much for pounding the ball. And when you get into the red zone, they would rather throw it to Kelsey than run it in anyway. So it's a little like, I'm sad. But I think if you could move Pacheco for his value, which is decent, I think you got to. Let's see what it is, though. The first we have is 12-team Superflex, where it's Pat Freiermuth and Isiah Pacheco for Travis Kelsey. Wow. All day Travis Kelsey, man. Like, I don't even need to look at. I'll say the numbers because that's the show format. But like, Freiermuth 153, Pacheco 124 for a total of 277. Kelsey 479.
What if we took out Kelsey? Would you do this for Hawk? Kittle. Goddard.
That's my line.
That I was gonna say, I think after that is Freiermuth. So
because then you hit like Freiermuth and Waller, and I guess maybe you still put Dalton Schultz there, even though he moved to a different team. Like those, okay, guys, they're not quite the I'm happy to start them. I feel okay starting them. So yeah, I would absolutely use Pacheco's name and the fact that he's on the Chiefs to go get me Travis freaking Kelsey. Like what?
Yeah.
All day.
That one's not hard. There are hardcore Pacheco people out there. Like they really believe that.
Like I kind of thought I was one of them, and then I guess I started to see what prices were and start being a little realistic. I'm like, okay, maybe I do just like the guy, and I'm not really all in on everything about him in fantasy. The next trade is something, man, I would love for this to happen. Pacheco for a 24 first. Like I would love to be able to pull anything with a 1 in front of it for Pacheco. Like, I would probably take a 25 first for Pacheco.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you that later on. I was just going to say that I've seen this trade happen multiple times in the Trade Finder, just in the month of April, where people are selling a 24 first for Isiah Pacheco. Just this exact trade has happened multiple times just in the month of April. And I still think that you can do it. I feel like your window's kind of closing because we're now a week away from the NFL draft. So, I think people kind of get a little bit more and more worried, and they're just like, I'll wait a few days and see what happens. But I still think that you can get this done, and I'm definitely doing it. Like you said, I'm taking a 25 first over Pacheco too. And it's not just because like I hate Isiah Pacheco or something. Like any running back really in his range. Like if you look at where he's at in his ADP range, like I would do the same thing for James Cook. I would do the same thing for Brian Robinson, Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery. Like it's not just Pacheco. It's kind of just the type of running back that he is. for fantasy was fine. Like he wasn't phenomenal. Like he had one top 15 season and he was the RB 15 on that week. Top 15, one top 15
We
week.
knew
You know what I'm
what you
saying?
meant. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
And the rest of them, like he had like RB 16, RB 19, RB 17, RB 29, RB 32, RB 31. You know, that's all in his second half stretch. If he wasn't scoring a touchdown, he wasn't a top 20 running back. I just don't like those types of running backs because they don't catch passes. He's touchdown dependent. And to top it all off, he's a 7th round pick. So if the Chiefs invest any draft capital at all in this year's class, there is like a 90% chance that it's better draft capital than what they put into Pacheco. Any competition to his touches is going to be bad for him because he's reliant solely upon that rushing volume. So if it ain't there for him, he's not going to be a good asset. And even if it is still there for him, he survives the draft. He's just another one of all those guys that I just named that I would still take a 24 first over.
Okay, the next one. Okay.
Yeah, hit me with this one. This was interesting when you gave me his name.
So there's a strong difference between me giving the advice that I think someone is a sell and me personally thinking it.
Okay.
I don't want to, because I still think he's insanely talented. I still think he's going to score a lot of points, but I do think a combination of age and what could happen in the draft will affect value greatly. I think Stefon Diggs is a sell. I won't, most likely, because I've been a fan of that dude forever. And he's still, as of now, the number one wide receiver for Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the deep guy for Josh Allen, who has a cannon isn't even fair. Like, that's not fair to Josh Allen's arm. Like, so here's my thing. Right now, Steph Diggs, 29. They have been spending late round capital on wide receivers for 3 straight years. You know, bringing in like Isaiah McKenzie, Shakir, and Gabe Davis, to be fair. And there was one other that I'm blanking on.
Cole Beasley was in there.
Yeah, like
they added him in free agency and stuff, but yeah.
They haven't found their guy. Diggs is getting up there in age. Diggs is getting up there in contract. So I think there is a chance, probably not first round, just to throw it out there, but if they spend a 2nd round pick on a wide receiver, I think it's good enough to make people worried about Stefon Diggs. I'm not worried about it because it's Stefon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there are going to be plenty of people out there that will lose interest in Stefon Diggs. And you'll have to wait till week 3-4 and hope that Diggs puts up really good numbers, because even towards the end of last season, he started to slow down production wise. Like, I did not watch enough Bills football to be able to say if he didn't look good, but his scores were not kind of great for the last few weeks of the season.
Right.
So, if you are one of those people that you don't want to be like you're not one of those year early before, or, you know, rather than a year late, because then you would have sold Diggs like 2 years ago. But if you're one of those I don't want to be caught holding the bag people, I think now's your time to get out on Diggs. The first one, they're both 12-team one quarterback, where Steph Diggs and Deebo Samuel for Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 112. Steph Diggs at 631, Deebo at 519 for a total of 1150. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 796, the 112, 209 for 1006. All right. I liked it a little bit more before I read that it was one quarterback. Man, Steph Diggs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, how different do you think they score?
Diggs was scoring better in 2022, but I don't think it was all that much of a massive difference, especially whenever you factor in the fact that Amon-Ra is 6 years younger.
Well, I didn't get to that part yet, because clearly that's absolutely in his favor. But the question is, like, how different is that points per game? Steph Diggs in at 19.54, Amon-Ra St. Brown 17.1.
That's what I was talking about before, of like, you might not like it because like you're gonna have to kind of take a hit because you're not getting Stefon Diggs production where he's a top 5, top 3 fantasy points per game wide receiver, but you're moving to a guy who's wide receiver 8, wide receiver 7. You're buying back those years.
I mean, yeah, ARSB is worth more than Diggs, should be worth more than Diggs, and I would make that move. And at the second part of it, we're talking Debo for the 112. Debo finished last year as the points per game wide receiver 24. He never felt like it. Like, I had him on a few teams. You never felt good starting Debo. And I thought, like, that's to me what Debo is. The guy that when he's not the wide receiver 3, you don't feel great, but somehow you don't lose because of it. But
yeah,
the thing with me is 519 versus 209 in the trade analyzer. I think you'd be probably surprised to find that putting them both in trades, you probably get a lot closer value for each of them as add-ins than you would want. So I'm not saying Debo equals the 112 in a one quarterback. I am not. He is worth more than that. But again, 27-year-old wide receiver. I almost said likes to get injured. I don't think he likes to get injured, but he gets injured a decent amount. Doesn't have the spike weeks we want him to. On Debo Samuel's trade value in general. I think this comes my way. I'm taking Amon-Ra in the 112 without even really struggling with it.
That's the side I want on here too. I would like a better piece in the 112. What if it was Jahan Dotson? Amon-Ra and Jahan Dotson for Diggs and Debo Samuel. Bam.
Exactly. I think you can turn around the 112 and just do something better with it. This next one is very interesting because there's a lot of good stuff going on. Steph Diggs, Terry McLaurin, and a 24 first for Ken Walker, Michael Pittman, and a 24 second. Steph Diggs, 631. Terry McLaurin, 328. The 24 first, 256 for a total of 1216. Ken Walker, 748. Michael Pittman, 449. 24 second, 88 for a total of 1285. So it's pretty even. But here's like the biggest part of this to me is the most valuable asset in this trade, according to the analyzer, is Ken Walker. I'm not that high on Ken Walker. I think we could find last season being Ken Walker's most productive part of a season. Like, you know, the way he did towards the middle of last year, because even that offense started to get a little towards the end of the year, and so did he. I don't want my running back riding on a Geno Smith-led offense. Like, I get it. They're the Seahawks. They're going to run the ball. Ken Walker doesn't really catch the ball. So PPR leagues, like, let's not forget, 3-ish years ago, Derrick Henry literally broke records in rushing, and he was the running back 3 on the year.
Yeah.
So Ken Walker, he's good. Like, he's a very good actual running back. He is very, very, very talented. He's very, very good. I'm purely talking about a PPR fantasy asset. Like, he's good. He will be a top 10-ish running back, probably. But he's valued as a top 4-ish running back, and that's just way too much for me. The age on that Diggs side is killing me. 29, 27, but at least you get a 24 first. 22, 25, and you have a 24 second. Like, I have no idea what to do in this trade, but I think my real answer is take the youth, and then I would flip Ken Walker to someone who's more of a believer in him.
That was my answer. Like, I would take Pittman over McLaurin, and like I feel more confident in Kenneth Walker
because their values they're not even, but they're close enough.
Okay.
So if we slide out Pittman and McLaurin, so you have Diggs in a first for Walker in a second.
I'd probably take Diggs there because of the first. I take Diggs because of the first. So I guess I'm putting on more weight of the fact that Pittman is valued more than Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough because they are almost as far apart as Diggs and Walker are.
Right.
At a lower level. No, you're right. So we can't just slide them out.
Yeah. I mean, this one's a very fair trade. I definitely see both sides of it. Like, if you just believe that McLaurin and Pittman are going to score similarly because they have for basically Pittman's entire career, then you could cancel them out to where, I just want Diggs in the first over Kenneth Walker in the second. So I don't necessarily like it is a tough trade. I wish I was more affirmative on like which one I wanted. I think you summed it up with I would take the youth and figure out what to do, go from there, because at the end of the day, the youth is always going to be more valued.
Exactly, because we are in April. We're not scoring points. Take the youth. Yeah, take the youth. Take the value. And again, we're calling this even, and it's only apart by pretty much a 24-second, so it's more or less fair value. But for where we are in the year, I think the real value is on the young people.
Yep. Yeah.
Ugh, I hate when you end the show on something that is just so weird feeling, like, because now I have to be like, oh, excited end of the show. It's just like, I guess this is the end of the DLF trade show on the DLF YouTube channel. I'm Russ. He's Addison.
Wow.
I can't do that. Come on, man. But this is the DLF trade show on the DLF YouTube channel. Lots of arm movements and loud noises. Russ Fisher, Dynasty House, Addison Hayes, Adam Mays Hayes _. We'll catch you next time.